It's 27th of September 25, and this is me. This is video 2 on this issue about chronic fatigue syndrome, which is just a label. It means we don't know what's up with you. You feel tired all the time or whatever. We don't know what's up with you. So I just wanted to go on about this because I think the way the government look at it is, first of all, they don't do anything about it really. And in Britain, about 3 years ago, Sajid Javid was appointed health minister, and he said he was going to start researching it. But then, unfortunately, Boris Johnson, one of his MPs, done something. He didn't get fired or whatever, and Sajid resigned about 2 months after he became health minister, and that actually brought Boris Johnson down. And it is ironic. And now, once again, chronic fatigue syndrome is ignored by the British government, including Labour, who are, the left. They're meant to be a nice party. But I'm just talking about this because I think governments look at it the wrong way. What they should actually be looking at is, really, what they want to do is just get everyone off welfare. Take that as an example. Whereas what they should look at is what's wrong with these people. Let's find it, and they could start a research centre and treatment centre of excellence. That sort of thing. But the diagnostic tests on offer just aren't good enough. There's not enough. Everyone should get a full body scan at some point, MRI. That's just as a start. If the NHS won't pay for it, then let the GP tell you you can do it for cost price, through the NHS or whatever. I'm using Britain as an example here, but you could do this anywhere. So what I'm trying to show you here is, I'll give you one example. Like, there's been a lot of talk about Tylenol recently. Tylenol is called in America. In Britain it's called paracetamol, and it's really acetaminophen. And I'll keep coming back to these phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes because they're so important, and they should be taught at school, because basically this is the way that you transform most chemicals through your phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes. They've not really got a good name for them, the group enzyme. They call them biotransformation enzymes, or in the pharma industry they call them the pharma enzymes, because they're so important for activating and detoxing drugs, medicines, etc. That's why they put on medicine labels, do not take grapefruit, because grapefruit has a chemical in it that kills off one of these enzymes in particular in your blood, in your cells. They're in the cells, these things. I think mainly in your small intestine cells. They're actually in your liver cells mostly, but there's some in the small intestine cells, and I think it kills them off, and it takes about 3 days for the cells to regrow, through your DNA or whatever. So if you take a drug every day, it's killing off the cells slowly, and then you're going to feel worse and worse. And that's why you're not meant to take grapefruit. It's because of a chemical in grapefruit juice, actually. And that's in a lot of other citrus things as well, not as high as a level. So I'm just going to keep going back to this because I think it may be one of these sort of hidden things that's causing a lot of chronic fatigue syndrome cases. That's just a label. That's just a bin, basically. For a GP, it's just a bin to put you in, and for, say, the government, if they're wanting to get people off welfare, they want to just act as if these people are all at it. So just get them back off welfare into work, even though they're not solved, And a good example of one of these phase 1, phase 2s is Silbert syndrome, if you look that one up. So, but I'll just go into this one first of all, what I'm talking about, because President Trump just mentioned paracetamol. I don't know what he was talking about. Tylenol, probably a lot of nonsense. But anyway, I just wanted to show, currently medicines are given in 3 sizes, and this is one thing. We should have personalised medicine, which means we should get drugs tailored to our phase 1, phase 2 build thing, because we're all different with these things, so we're not all the same. But currently we're given these drugs in 3 sizes, basically man, woman or child, really, of a certain weight. I'm sure babies as well, probably. And basically they're just giving the dose, okay, man, probably say around about 70 kilograms, or just guessing, So, women will be a bit lower. They'll get their dose of, say, paracetamol or Tylenol will be a bit lower for every woman, but it's still, everyone varies so much that it's just ridiculous. So I'm just going to show you on this thingy through Google Gemini. I've asked Google Gemini here, Tylenol affects phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes. So it's saying, yeah, Tylenol, brand name for acetaminophen, that's what it's called, is metabolized in the liver primarily by both phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes. And first of all, they're pointing out the phase 2 enzymes, so this must be the main ones that deal with this. Glucuronidation, and people who are low on this are told they have Gilbert syndrome, usually because you get a yellowing of the eye. But at the moment, the health system thinks it's harmless, which I don't think is true. And the only reason they know about it is because people get yellow eyes, basically. This is the main metabolic pathway for acetaminophen. I'll play this at the end. Therapeutic doses. So they're just saying about 45 to 55% of this enzyme does about 45-55% of the metabolism of acetaminophen, Tylenol, paracetamol. Enzymes involved include, there's the names for it, UGG, they're called these sort of things. This reaction conjugates the drug with glucuronic acid, which is, so that joins on to this chemical and detoxifies it basically. It makes it water soluble, because these enzymes basically make fat soluble things into water soluble things, which we can then excrete easily. And the other pathway, the other enzymes used is sulfation. About 30-35% of that's metabolized of this drug is metabolized by this enzyme. This is what they're called, because I've got quite a few of them usually. This reaction conjugates the drug with a sulfate group. These are, phase 2s are known as the conjugation enzymes. There's about 6 of them, and they've got 6 families, and also making it water soluble for excretion. And the phase 1 enzymes, so this is a minor pathway, but it's key for toxicity. So even though it's not much of it's metabolized, it has if you're low in this one, this can really make you toxic. Cytochrome P450, CYP450, yeah, this is one of the main enzymes of the phase 1s. A small fraction of acetaminophen, about 5 to 10% of at therapeutic doses, is metabolized by these phase 1 enzymes. Primarily, these are all the CYP family, CYP2A1, also CYP21A2, CYP2A6, and CYP3A4. This process oxidizes acetaminophen into a highly reactive toxic intermediate called N-acetyl P-benzoquinine. Role in toxicity. Under normal conditions, this toxin is rapidly detoxified by a phase 2 reaction involving glutathione. So that's another of the phase 2s to form a non-toxic conjugate. However, in cases of overdose, the major phase 2 pathways, glucuronidation and sulfation, become saturated. See, this is a problem. You can saturate these enzymes, and that means you'll just build up of the whatever the compound is. This forces more of the drug down the phase 1 CYP450 pathway, so this is sort of an emergency pathway in a way, leading to a massive increase in the production of toxic NAPQI. This excessive NAPQI rapidly depletes the liver's stores of glutathione. Once glutathione is depleted, NAPQI is free to bind to cellular proteins, leading to widespread cellular damage and liver failure. So that's why it's so bad. If you take a paracetamol overdose, you're totally saturating the normal pathways. It's going down this sort of emergency pathway, and then you're saturating your glutathione pathway, and you're just ending up with a really bad toxin which destroys your body cells. And then I want to know about the Gilbert syndrome connection. Gilbert syndrome is a common mild and harmless genetic liver condition. It's lifelong. is caused by inherent genetic variation in the UGC1A1 gene that results in the liver producing a reduced amount of a specific enzyme, UDP glucuronidase. Bilirubin processing. This is crucial for conjugating bilirubin, which is the process that makes it water soluble so the body can excrete it in the bile and stool. Because the enzyme works less effectively, unconjugated bilirubin builds up in the blood, a condition called mild unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. And bilirubin is a yellowish waste product that is naturally formed when old red blood cells break down. It is a pigment responsible for the yellowish tint seen in jaundice. So this is the only reason this has been discovered. So there's lots of problems with these enzymes that haven't been discovered because there's nothing noticeable about it. Symptoms, most of no noticeable symptoms until routine blood tests are performed for an unrelated reason. Most common sign is jaundice. Some people also report other things like fatigue. I think most people will have that if they've got this. Abdominal pain, nausea or loss of appetite. Triggers is when bilirubin levels, that's when you get the jaundice, are often increased. Perhaps being ill, fasting, dehydration, strenuous exercise, high stress, menstruation. Diagnosis, a blood test. Prognosis is excellent. I think they're in a grey area. This is the whole point. I think they feel terrible. Management, nothing. They don't really have to do anything. They're saying in a moment. And the effect on Tylenol. So this is what I wanted to get to. The key connection lies in the metabolic pathways they share. They don't think it will have a problem at these doses, but I think it probably does. Gilbert syndrome. So there we go. Primarily cleared from the body through phase 2 glucuronidation, around 55%, and sulfation. So it's carried out by multiple UGT isoforms. This one we're looking at for Gilbert's is 1A1. It has been hypothesized that individuals with GS, Gilbert syndrome, might have slower clearance. That's the whole point. Increased toxin risk. Because it'll go on to shift on to that CYP3450 and then glutathione as well. Clinical reality. See, at the moment they think it's really safe, but I don't agree, And then I just wanted to show you how many by ethnicity have got this weakness, Gilbert syndrome. And here we have South Asian, up to 20%. I mean, that's shocking, really, in my opinion. I mean, that explains a lot to me for anyone who's got these problems. And this is just one enzyme of these groups. Middle Eastern 19%, Caucasian 2 to 10%, African 3 to 7%, East Asian 2%. So there you go. It's to do with the promoter variant that creates that enzyme 1A1. Yeah, I need to slow this down at 15 minutes, so I'm going through this quickly at the moment and just see what anything else this table says. So, yeah, there you go. I'll just leave you with this. And yeah, this is the 1A1 fault for the different ethnicities they're talking about. Because they all vary a bit. There's 1A1 number 6, 1A1 number 28 allele, etc. Yeah. So I'll need to leave it at that. I've only got 15 minutes to do this. Yeah. So I think everybody should do a genome test anyway, a private genome test, so that you get. I wouldn't do one of those 23andMe thingy tests because they only tell you a tiny bit of what's up. They only test a tiny bit of your DNA. You want the whole genome test so that you're future proofed, and you can look up these things afterwards rather than what 23andMe do is they test a few faults and they tell you if you've got something or not. But it's not good enough. You need to do the full genome, including the exomes, the introns as well, which used to be known as a junk part. Okay, bye for now.